Okay, so we're going to draw a basic cube. So to start any new sketch, we want to remember on our Onshape screen, we want to click Create and create a new document. So I click Create and I click Document. And I'm just going to title this as Cube Drawing. I type in Cube Drawing and I hit OK. Now this is going to open up our workspace. Okay, so we have here our tools like I showed before. Our toolbar is up here on the top. Our feature tree, our history tree is on the left-hand side here. And our navigational window, this little cube here, is on the right. This allows us to change our views. Um, Anywhere I click on the cube will rotate to that specific view on the workspace. Now, whenever we start anything, we started drawing on one of these planes. We have the top, front, and the right plane. These are the surfaces in which we start our drawings. So for this specific drawing, we need to start a two-dimensional sketch. So up in the top left-hand corner, it says Sketch. Click Sketch. Whenever I click anything, a little window will pop up that will kind of ask for some more information. So right here it says Sketch 1. It's asking us to click a sketch plane. So we want to choose what plane we're going to start this drawing on. For this specific one, we're going to draw it on the top plane. So what I do now is I click Top, and you'll see the sketch. There's a little rectangle that outlines around that plane. We're not constricted to this specific drawing area, but it means we're going to draw on the top view. Now, so I can see a little bit better, I want to draw so I'm looking directly on the top view. What I want to do is click on the navigational cube here on the top right. I click Top, so I'm looking directly down on the top view. Now, if this is too zoomed in, right? If you want to zoom out a little bit, you can just use the roller wheel on your mouse just to scroll back a little bit. Excellent. So now what I want to do is draw a rectangle. So now that we're in a sketch, our toolbar tools have changed. Depending on what we're doing, our tools will change a little bit up here. Remember, you can highlight over them if you're not sure what something is. Now, there's different types of tools within each icon, right? If I click the rectangle here, this is a corner rectangle. But if I click this little arrow next to it, it'll open up different options for that specific tool. So what we want for this one is the center point rectangle. So I click that arrow next to the rectangle. Now what I'm going to do is click this origin. This is the center point. When I draw things, I typically like to draw from the center, but I click once, release, and I can drag my cube out. And now what I'm going to do is click once, drag, click again, and now you'll notice that these dimension lines, these dimension numbers here, what I can do now is type in the specific dimension. So I'm going to type in on my keypad, we'll make this a 4-inch by 4-inch cube. So I hit 4, and it changes that to 4, and I can hit enter, and now that defines that as 4. Now over here, I don't have to click anything. It's still registered in this dimension. As you see, it has this white box around the dimension number. I can type in 4 again and hit enter. Now I have a two-dimensional sketch that is 4 by 4. Okay. If for whatever reason you draw your rectangle and you click outside, I draw my rectangle, for example, you don't need to draw this, but another way to do this is to draw my rectangle. Now I can click up on the top. There is a icon, a dimension icon, or I could hit D for dimension, and I can dimension this after I draw it. So I could click the dimension icon here, click the line I want to dimension, click once, release, drag up, click, and I can type in now the dimension that I want this to be using the dimension tool. So you could draw the shape first and then type in the dimension. Okay, there's two different ways of doing it. I'm going to delete this for now. So we have our 4-inch by 4-inch square here. Now we need to turn this into a cube. If I go over to my navigation cube over here in the top right, click one of the corner views, the little corner tabs here. If I click this one on the bottom right of the cube, it'll redirect my view. So it's that isometric shape. You can see that it's not a three-dimensional shape yet. I can also use the right click on my mouse, right click and hold, and I can rotate around if it's easier to navigate that way. Now, I need to do this thing called extrude. It's like the push-pull tool in SketchUp. What you do while you're in the sketch, up on the top left-hand side of the toolbar, there's a little button that's called extrude. It looks like a cube going inside of a cube or coming outside of a cube. If I click that, another box comes up. You'll see it says extrude here. And this asks me to determine what sketch I want to extrude. And this has already selected it here. If it doesn't automatically select it, you might need to just click that face. And you'll see I have an arrow here. I could click and drag it. Or over here, I can determine how large I want this extrude to be. So for this one, I'm going to change this depth here where it says depth. I'm going to change this to 4 inches. And before I accept it, I can just click outside of here, click once, and it will let me preview the extrusion before I actually accept it. So again, if I wanted this to be 10, for example, I could type in 10 outside the box, and it will give me a preview of that before I accept it. So I type in 4, hit OK, and now I have a 4 by 4 by 4 cube. Now you'll notice over here on the feature tree, this is kind of our history. It shows us everything we started with. The first thing we did was that sketch, then we did the extrusion. So if we need to go back and edit things, we can edit the sketches in our history plane and it will automatically update our drawings. Now, you'll notice every time you make an extrusion, a new part is created. So down here where my cursor is blinking, it says part 1. As we get into more complex parts, I might rename the part depending on what it is. And I can also rename the sketches. As we get more complex in our drawings, it's good to label everything. So we have our cube sketch.